Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the final chapter of How Is That Working for You? Today's a bittersweet day for me because 16 weeks ago, we started this group with me reading the preface and the introduction to the #1 Amazon bestseller, How Is That Working? And tonight, you folks are in for a real treat. Robert Hollis, the author, and the publisher, Max Miller, will be on tonight to talk to you. Max is going to come on first, and then Robert will come on with his parting words. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us and been with us during this time. I'm really going to miss you guys. And I just stay in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing on your journey from here on out. And I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can follow along with we're chapter 12, the finish line from racer to pace setter. Let's see. Here we go. Share screen. There we go. Okay. All right. So here we go. And this is on page 115 if you have your own book or if you want to follow along here on the screen. Chapter 12, finish line, from racer to pace setter. A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, page 35. The American dream has not died or disappeared. It may look different today than it did for our forefathers. We have a global economy dominated by giant multinational corporations that can seem intimidating to small businesses. But new technologies have transformed how businesses get done, and this has become an advantage for the independent entrepreneur. At its heart, the American dream still holds out a vision of freedom through personal responsibility, self-empowerment, initiative, and contribution. This dream remains very much alive. The illusion of security and stability. But there exists in our culture a widespread sense of resignation and cynicism about business and opportunity. I believe this results from the bill of goods we have bought about finding security and stability in working for someone else and climbing the corporate ladder. These ideas of job security and economic stability are illusions. Author and cultural heroine Helen Keller expressed this with characteristic boldness and clarity. Security is mostly superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Helen Keller overcame formidable challenges. She lost her sight and hearing at the age of 1, and though the specialist of her day would have doomed her to life in an institution, she learned to speak and write and became an inspiration to a generation. Break free. Breaking free from those illusions of security and stability may take a concentrated effort if the circumstances of your life don't thrust you into a crisis. A few steps can empower you to stir up the kind of burning desire it will take to liberate yourself. First, get in touch with your why. Surround yourself with pictures of your loved ones and all that motivates and inspires you. Next, write out in detail how you imagine your life would be if you achieved success in your own business. Let your imagination run wild. Try to use all your senses. Include all the items on your bucket list if you have one. A list of all you want to accomplish, see, or do before you kick the proverbial bucket. If you already have an idea about how you could achieve your dreams, also write that down, but don't be discouraged if your plan is unclear or needs work. Remember that a clear vision, your what, combined with your desire, your why, will attract the elements that make up your how. Finally, write how it might look if you stay in your present situation. Be brutally honest. Think of the contingencies that could happen. What would you do if, like me, you were suddenly unable to continue in your same line of work? What would happen if your job or your company got outsourced, downsized, or capsized? I don't mean to frighten you, but rather than wait for your ship to come in, sometimes it's wiser to swim out to the ship while you still have energy. While you still have energy, resources, and freedom of movement. I'm writing this at a time when the U.S. economy has been floundering, and now economists predict the jobs market could stagnate for another decade. There are more people out of work in the U.S. today than during the Great Depression. But as it turns out, times like these are very good for my industry because people flock to income opportunities when the job market fails them. You can take advantage of this movement and get ahead of the trend, or you can take your chances in the increasingly competitive job market. Yet this may be a time when the risks of maintaining the status quo outweigh the risk of entrepreneurship. As quality expert W. Edwards Deming warned, it is not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory. If you have a mastermind group, share everything you have written with your group. Share your why, as well as your dreams, your plans, and the future you can anticipate if nothing changes. It may also help to talk about your fears of going into business for yourself. Have you failed before? Go public with your fears and your past experiences with the intent of letting them go and replacing them with confidence based on your ability to learn and to grow. Got one more race in you? For those who have ever attempted and failed, what can I say to encourage you to give it one more wholehearted effort? If you're embarrassed because you've shared your dreams with loved ones, only to see those dreams shattered, here's a piece of wisdom from someone who might seem an unlikely source of inspiration for an aspiring entrepreneur. If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put the foundations under them. Henry David Thoreau, Walden, chapter 18. This time will be different. This time you will build solid foundations for your dreams. You will draw that line in the sand and say, I'm never going back to the salt mines again. You will find the source of inner strength and faith to separate yourself from the pack. Determined to taste all the nectar you can wring from life, you will nurture that seed of faith and begin to trust that God, or the power of the universe, if you prefer, is for you. He's cheering you on and encouraging you to succeed. As you let go of doubts and fears, you will begin to experience the power of enthusiasm, literally meaning God within. Enthusiasm, wrote David Hume, being the infirmity of bold and ambitious tempers, is naturally accompanied with a spirit of liberty, as superstition, on the contrary, renders men tame and abject and fits them for slavery. You, belonging to that first category, will humble yourself and become a student of what really works. A new trend comes along and the masses sneer, but you take a closer look. You ask, what's going on here? What need is this meeting? What's changing in the marketplace? And as you study what really works and makes a difference in business and in life, you will discover your own strengths and talents and realize you have always had so much of value to offer in the service of others. Along your way, you will discover many secrets to success. Though there may be only a few activities that add to your paycheck, you will learn that the way you perform those actions makes all the difference. You will discern what Wallace Wattles meant when he wrote that people get rich by doing things in a certain way. You will learn the power of gratitude and being creative rather than competitive. You will find your fortunes increase as your faith expands. As you let go of fears and limiting beliefs and open yourself to new ways of thinking and being, you will become a more attractive person. You will naturally attract all the necessary resources and people for your success. Even as you become increasingly aware of the gap between your own tender faith and the success consciousness of your mentor, you won't be stopped by the thoughts that paralyze others. Instead, you will impress on with confidence, courage, and a determination to grow and learn. You will feed your soul and mind daily on ideas like these. The important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. 𝓯𝓪𝓲𝓵. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. We cannot put off living until we are ready. The most salient characteristic of life is its coerciveness. It is always urgent, here and now, without any possible postponement. Life has fired us point blank. Jose Ortega Gasset. You will wake up every morning with the realization that this is the day it all happens. There is no other time. Having compassion for all, you will devote yourself in business to working with those who have ears to hear, those who are ready to observe and care deeply for others. You will grow to love the process as you master the skills and actions that with persistence inevitably produce ever-expanding results and success. You will learn to love the journey for its own sake and enjoy the wondrous gifts, discoveries, and dividends along the way. As Marcel Proust wrote, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. In the end, we may reflect on our journey and ask, was it worth the trouble? From my experience, I have to say that achieving the goals I set out to accomplish might not be the greatest reward for having taken this journey. The lessons I learned, the person I discovered myself to be, and especially the rich relationships with wonderful people I gained along the way, these are my greatest rewards. I pray you will be so blessed. Whatever your journey holds, buckle up and enjoy the ride. So, and that concludes the end of the chapter and the end of the book. So, there's 2 questions left. So I'd like for you to think about those tonight and write in the comments if you wish. One of the questions for discussion and reflection and action is, do you have one more race in you? And what action will you take today to dramatically move your dream forward? And if you have the book, you can go to the end and read the acknowledgements. And there's also some resources at the end that you might, fuel and other resources. I just love how even in the appendix, they have kept the whole race car, the racing theme throughout the whole book. And I thought that it was kind of unique that this weekend we had the races. I can see everybody now. When I was reading, I couldn't see you. Hi, Max. Hi, Robert. Hi, everyone. So thank you, Max and Robert, for writing this amazing book. It has just been life-changing. It has, there's just something about hearing you, hearing you talk and then being able to read it. It just kind of just sticks and in your brain a little bit longer. So anyway, I have Julia and Sandra, my co-hosts. Thank you for being with me these last 16 weeks and everybody that has joined us. It's really been a great experience. I encourage everybody and recommend everybody do this. If you want a book to read, I can recommend another book called 𝓱𝓪𝓻𝓰. If you want to read another book, or any of those books. This has been a great experience. It has really helped me, overcome camera shyness and getting out there and talking to people. And talking, one-on-one with people and doing Zooms. It's just really opened a lot of avenues for me. And I can't wait to see where everybody's going to go from here. So we're going to open up first. We have Max. I'd like to introduce him. He is a publisher. I have been working with him for the last couple of months in his beta group, a mastermind class, and I have really enjoyed it, and I'm learning a lot from it. And now that I know what I know why I love Robert's book so much, and why it's one of the easiest but most impactful books that I've ever read. And it's an easy read, it flows, and it is true to Robert, it is true to who he is. And that's the kind of book I want to be able to write. So Max, you have the floor.
Hey, you know, I got to say, I got to give it back to you, Deborah, because, you know, you being my class these last 12 weeks, you know, you've been a star student. It means so much. When I said this last week when we completed the class, I said, you know, there's just nothing. I think I've heard Robert say this many times, but there's nothing as fulfilling as somebody actually taking the actions and taking your coaching and your direction and putting it, you know, to work. And you've really done that. And you know, this was also coaching. You know, Robert and I both said to you, hey, do this, do a book group, you know, use another book that's meant something to you and get practice at it, because that'll take anything you can do initially to take the attention off of yourself, as in your self-consciousness, to take the focus, your own focus, off of you and put it out there on your participants. Anything you can do to, you know, move in that direction is really powerful, right? So this is a great way to start, you know, and nurture a community and practice those muscles. So I can't, and thank you for your kind words. The book, you know, I think this is almost 9 years, I think, since we wrote that book. It's definitely 9 years since we wrote it. It's about 8.5 or something, I think, Robert, isn't that right? Since we published it. And what's really amazing, there's a few things that I might like to go in and I'll have to talk to Robert about, that we might tweak now in a new edition of it. But it really, I'm really impressed with how well it held up. But, you know, it's based on Robert's teaching. At the time we wrote it, Robert had already, I think, been doing networking. Help me on this, Robert, but I think already like 25 years, right? And so he had this depth of experience. And the fascinating thing is, when you work with people who are new, they throw everything they got at it, right? And it gets complicated and confusing. But when people are deeply experienced in their, they simplify things, right? What they have to share is simple and elegant. And that's why, you know, I feel like that book flows, is because Robert's ideas are just, they're boiled down. You know, he's giving you the juice, the nuggets, you know. So yeah, I'm really delighted that for everybody that stuck with it too. You know, I'd love to hear your questions or comments. I'm sure Robert would too, but thank you very much for participating in that.
Right. Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to say to Max before we go on and open it up for Robert? Because I know Robert has a lot to talk about.
Always.
Well, we can start with just the races this weekend. That tie-in, I just love that. It just makes me love the book more. You know, when I was watching the races, just so many pops just kept coming in my head about, and the metaphors that that Max is teaching me about. I never paid attention to metaphors and things like that, but yeah.
Yeah, now you'll listen to everything Robert says differently, because he's a metaphor man. He uses them very naturally, and you know, because that's powerful. You know, metaphors. I always say that metaphors are like, you know that scene. They're like a Jedi trick. You know, mind trick. You know, when that scene when Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to find a pilot, who's going to be Han Solo, and they've got the droids in the back of this hovercraft, and as the guards are all on the lookout for the droids, right? So they come up and they and Obi-Wan goes, "These are not the droids you're looking for," and he does this little thing with his hand, right? and they go, "These are not the droids we're looking for." That's a Jedi mind trick, right? Well, metaphors are Jedi mind tricks because the mind is actually quite allergic to new information. Yeah. Even though we like to think of ourselves as curious and fascinated, the mind actually tries to conserve energy. That's, it uses half the energy of our body. So it tries to conserve it all the time. And one of the ways it conserves it is anything that it thinks it knows, it's like, thanks, been there, done that, I'll go to sleep now. But anything that it thinks might be different than what it believes and knows already, it kind of rejects right up front. There's a just sort of knee-jerk reaction. And what a metaphor does is it says to your mind, these are not things, these are not different things. These are just like this other thing that you already know. And so it's a kind of a Jedi mind trick that allows new information in. And if you go back and read all of Jesus' parables, they're all like that. They're all full of metaphors. So, and Robert just really naturally speaks in that kind of language.
He does. I mean, my favorite parable he put in the book was the parable of the sower. I mean, how many times through the rest of the book was that, so, were we able to relate to that and put it into, today and where we are now, and, change that. So it's been a great experience. I think it's just, I mean, it's up there with my 𝓱𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵𝓮 book. So, I mean,
that's saying a lot, because 𝓱𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵
really is.
He's a guru,
Yes, he's been with me for a long, long time, and Robert's
Yeah.
going to be with me for a long, long time. And just you putting it so simple. I mean, you just can go, you can listen to your tapes, you can read the book, you can follow it along. And if you do exactly what Robert says, you're going to have the success that he has, and he's documented it. And that is just such a beautiful gift. Thank you for always giving it forward. And I tell you, every time I see you, I love that you are no respecter of persons, of anybody. It does not matter if you have the want and the will, and you really, want to improve your life and become successful. That's the person to follow. So, all right, Robert, I'm going to give it to you now.
Okay. Well, first of all, Max, thanks again for seeing you always fills my heart. So it makes me smile and fills my heart. I'm so honored because you think about it, you just need one person in your life to say, you know what, you can do it. I believe in you, and this is what you need to do. And for you guys now that know the whole story, I encouraged Max. I said, listen, why are you doing all this other stuff? If you want to be an author, then just be an author. Stop goofing off and be an author. And I supported and loved him and encouraged him so much that then he flips it on me. That's two best friends. It's like, okay, I just got done with my world trip. I know what the first book is going to be, and I need to fly to your home and stay at your home and get 50 hours of audio. and I'm like, wow, so as much as me encouraging him, he consistently encourages me. And I don't think none of us can have enough of those people in our life. No. And so with that said, Deborah, again, I'm so proud of you, and for all of you that have been, locked into what you can do. Deborah, this is such a incredible emotional thing for me, for you to pick my book to do this with. I really want to do my best to promote you, and people go and, hey, listen, you want a deep dive on this book, you gotta go listen to what Deborah's put on video. And I promise you I'll do that. So I'm just so proud of you. And so, like Max said, what I would like to share with you guys is 9 years later. You know what I mean? So if 25 years was spent and Max pulling it out of my head, I know that some of you may or may not like these individuals, but when you think about Oprah, you think about David Letterman, you think about Howard Stern, Larry King, these people are flipping masters at studying an individual and asking them the questions that nobody else ever asked them. You know, so the rest of the interviews are these canned questions that everyone asks them. And wow, I can't believe that I forgot Barbara Walters in that. You know what I mean? So well, I didn't forget, it just got dumped down. It's like, ring, you know. And so they're masters at getting people to think in a place that they don't want to think. And they're also masters in asking a couple of follow-up questions that no one else asked them to get the person to actually feel and think, I like this person. See, no one's going to let down their walls, and no one's going to let down what they truly feel if they don't trust you. And so that all comes down to that one saying, you know, people don't care what you know unless they know that you care. And if you guys just think about that one thing, how can I impact and make this person feel something that they haven't felt in a while? And I want them to remember who made them feel that way. So now that I'm going on to other chapters in my life, I just won this incredible award from the 𝓀𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵𝓮 Foundation. And to think that the last couple of awards that I've won is because of my support, not only in connecting, but also financially to charities. And that's the same thing that, you know, so in a business opportunity or building my own company, I need to create this connection. And now that I'm getting people to uncomfortably take large amounts of money to give to a charity, that they can do something with that charity, is the same skills. So I just want you all to think that if you were going to challenge yourself and you were going to pick out a charity that you truly loved, and you were going to be responsible for raising $5,000, $10,000 for this charity, how good would you get at touching the emotion and sharing that story? And so here's the thing that I think that I would like to share with you guys to really get through to you. You know, we hear about that elevator pitch. It's what could you say to a person in the shortest amount of time that really makes them go, oh. And so I'd like to give you one of those stories. I've been a large contributor to the 𝓲𝓪𝓻𝓰 Foundation. And when I seen this guy, he started out selling hearing aids. Bill Austin is his name. He's a multi-billionaire. So he started out selling hearing aids. And the thing that he ran into is that a lot of people couldn't afford the hearing aids. And he was going door to door selling hearing aids. All right. So even though he was a #1 salesman, his #1 goal was to make hearing aids less expensive, to make the examination less expensive. And that's where 𝓲𝓪𝓻𝓰 came from. But then what he did is he put together a foundation that actually fits children that have never heard before in their lives. All right. And now there's not a powerful person on the planet that hasn't contributed to the 𝓲𝓪𝓻𝓰 Foundation. If you look them up on the internet, the people that you see that shows up at their galas that I've been blessed to go to is the who's who of the most incredible people on the planet. So that's a guy that's good at connecting. Mm-hmm. You see, so I'm learning now from billionaires how to take this to another level. So in a short thing that Bill Austin said, I want to repeat, it's not going to be as good as he did it, but I need you to understand in a perspective of how short it could be. And again, we're coming down to parables, analogies, examples. So Bill Austin said, well, thank you very much for having me on here. I don't want to waste any of your guys' time because time is precious. And at my age, it's the most valuable thing I have. What an opening. It's like, you're just like, okay, I'm listening. He goes, I want you guys to go on an imaginary trip with me. And for a lot of you, it's not an imaginary trip. You're going to be recalling the trip. You're by yourself someplace, and you might be walking home or walking to a friend's house or walking to school or whatever. And all of a sudden, you know, you can hear like dog tags clinging together. And you hear ching, 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 and you look around and there's nothing there. Okay. So you don't mean to do this, but your mind takes off a little bit. And so what you do is your walk ends up to be a very good pace. And as your pace is picking up, you're still hearing the noise. So now you're looking to your left and right, and all of a sudden your mind gets the best of you and you're in a wide open run as fast as you can run. And your imagination is taking over. And, you know, you get to wherever your destination, if you're home, you're running up the steps, you're running in the door, you're slamming the door and you're looking out the door, you know, whatever was chasing you, they didn't catch you. You made it to the spot. And I just want you to remember how scared you were and how much your mind took over what may or may not even be something that happened. He goes, how many people can recall a thing like that? It could be in your house where you heard a noise and now all of a sudden you're scared to go around the house with a flashlight. And he got everyone in the room to raise their hand. And then he gets really calm and he says this: that's how a deaf child feels every moment of their lives.
Oh.
Because they have no hearing. So this thing is bouncing around in their head all of the time. He said, so they've never heard the words, I love you. They've never heard the words of their mouths saying, I love you. They've never heard anyone laugh. They've never heard any, you know, animal make the magnificent noises that they make. The wind, incredible music. And I need your help. If you'll donate money, I will match every dollar 5 to 1 to fit children that have never heard those words before. Will you help me? So, how many of you right now, if I posted the Starkey Hearing Foundation link, I'm going over there. And I just want you guys to really think about what you want to get across to people. And how are you delivering it? Did any of what I just said to you sound like a sales pitch? Zero. He found a way to connect with you. He got you to remember a time that you were uncertain or scared or frightened. And then he told you about a person that suffers with this every moment they're awake. And so I wrote a check for 10 grand that day. and I'm continue to give to that charity. And, you know, I've been blessed to be on an event with him where there was like, you know, 4,000 people there and half of them were kids. And they just came in one after another and they fit them with hearing aids and then got them made right there and then put them in children's ears. And if you guys have ever seen those small videos, you could go on YouTube and put in, you know, a person hearing for the first time and watch the reaction on their face. And I don't want to sound too crazy here, but all of us have seen situations where we can feel energy even over a video. And you're like, what is this doing to me right now? You know? And your chills come up and your eyes start filling with water and you're like, what's happening to me? I thought I had control over my emotions. So if you notice, Max has known me for a long time. There are a few of those stories that I can't repeat without going into the emotional state. And you got to find a way to get people to feel. So with this analogy of the book, how is that working? And with the racing, that's all about it. I want to talk about totally shift gears. And the thing that you need to master, for those of you that don't know anything about racing, I can guarantee that you probably have run a small race with somebody, whether you're young or on a bike or whatever. And this whole thing that's in us that just wants us to do our best. And so with my first mentor being 𝓚 Penske, it's like we never ever competed against anybody. There was this word called Kaizen. And Kaizen means the never-ending improvement on yourself. The lifelong thing of just taking something small and making it better and better and better. And I don't want to go too long into this story, but if you look up the whole entire story, the word Kaizen came from a guy named Edward Deming. And when we dropped a couple of bombs on Japan, it's crazy that the United States still went into this mentality that we got to do our best to rebuild their country. So they sent Edward Deming over there, this economist, this engineer, to try to tell Japanese how to rebuild their country. And this is what Edward Deming said to them. Listen, if you want to get United States back, I'll tell you how to get it back. You make a better automobile than them. Their whole pride is General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. You build an automobile and you keep making it just better than it was before. Never ending improvement. So if you build a vehicle that will last longer than any Ford, General Motors, or Chrysler, you'll crush them. And that was the invention of Toyota. So if you would talk to a guy that was a mechanic growing up working on General Motor cars, Chevy cars, Ford cars, Chrysler cars. When I graduated from college, my professor told me, you got to go to California. That's where the auto mechanics get paid the best. And then he did one of these to see if no one was around him. He says, let me give you a hidden secret about automotive companies. You have to work for them and you have to work on what is called warranty. Warranty means that the car had a malfunction under the time it was under warranty. So you need to fix that car. And I was going, duh. He goes, but if you work for the company, you do it at half your hourly rate. So if you're making $15 an hour and you have to fix a car under warranty, the company's not making any money and neither is the car dealership. So we're going to pay you $7 an hour. And I went, wow, I've never heard of that. And he goes, so if you work for certain car manufacturers, sometimes more than half of the time you're working is on cars that are having problems under warranty. And I go, I never thought that. That's one of those ideas that you never heard of before. How would you know? And he goes, listen, there's a company out there that's really exploding called Toyota. And you'll never work on a Toyota under warranty. They're built that well. So if you do 80 hours for one company, General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler, and 80 hours for Japan, a Toyota vehicle, you make twice the money. That was an easy decision for me. And so when I moved to California and I worked for Toyota Research and Development, and I worked for 𝓚𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵𝓮 Toyota, the largest dealership in the world, guess who owned it? 𝓚 Penske. That's how I got to meet him. And so, now you guys are getting some of the inside knowledge, right? And so when we went there, 𝓚 Penske's philosophy from that Kaizen was exactly the same. All we need to do is we got 3 different cars. We got Danny Sullivan driving one. We got Emerson Fittipaldi driving the other. You know what I mean? Al Unser driving the other. All we need to do is our cars need to be faster than each other's. We do not have to worry about anybody else on the track. And so our number one focus was to get that car, if it ran a 22-second lap, it needed to be 21.99. It needed to be 21.89. It needed to be 21.79. Are you guys getting this?
Mhm.
And so we never worried about what anybody else was doing. We would just analyze what we were doing, and we made the tweaks to make it better. And that's where that concept came from, that if you got 1% better every day for a year, now you're 365% better than you were the year before. Do you guys realize that I still do that today? Today, we finished off, I found out what my check is. We made $133,000, Terry and I did, for the month of April. I know that last April it was 79, and I know that April before that was 12,000. Every one of my lap times, which are now called income direct deposits, is me figuring out what's taking too much of my time that is not getting me to my goal. I need to eliminate those distractions. And then finding out exactly what is the thing I got to get best at. And so this industry, the thing that you guys got to get great at, not okay at, is being excited and connecting with a stranger, knowing that you got valuable information that can change their lives. So there's people that want to build a brand, and there's people that want to build a logo, and there's people that want to be coaches, and there's people that want to be trainers, and there's people that want to be all these things. When if you were building a company, building a position within a company, or building a nonprofit, your number one goal all day, every day is learning how to be excited to connect with another human being to put them in a better place. Because it took me less than probably 30 seconds to tell you the story about Bill Austin and the Starkey Foundation. If I ask all of you to do me a huge favor and go to their link, watch their material, and then if you feel right, donate whatever you can. Didn't I do everything that I needed to do? A, I connected with you. 2, I told you a short story that impacted and made you feel. And then 3, promoted a link for you to get more information and to please do me a huge favor and donate. There's only one other step. Julia, if you would really do me a huge favor, do you know anybody else that I could contact that you think that I could share this story with that would do something? What we do is sometimes we're lazy. And we know that if we get other people involved, they might donate. But do they have the skills and the passion to go out and share with other people to get them to donate too? So when the 𝓀𝓨 Foundation came out with this charity thing, I didn't even know they were doing anything. And I jumped on like the last week of them raising money, and one group had like 600, another group had like 700, another group had like 800. And I went, okay, 2,000. As soon as I put 2,000 under candidates, then Judy Stalling got motivated to put in 5,000. Think about that. Mine and her contribution was more than everybody else in the whole company had raised to that point. So I am sort of challenge oriented. So I spent like the next 3 days doing some promotion and raised another $8,100. So, you know, now, do you guys think I did it to get a trophy? No, I did it under Candace's link. There's nothing more satisfying than raising money and helping somebody and they didn't even know you did it. And not to get off on a tangent here, but I really truly believe that's one of the definitions of an angel. Sometimes we look at angels as just being metaphysical and they're out there and they're invisible and they're protecting people. I think that some people can be inspired here on earth that are human beings that can do really neat things for people and not let anyone know. And that's an angel too. And don't you think it's funny that people that raise money, sometimes they call it angel funding? You know what I mean? Because the people that are actually funding what you're doing, you never really get a chance to meet them because they want to give money, but they don't want to be really connected. But they give their money to someone and say, hey, listen, go find some people that are inspiring and give them some angel funding, get them up and going if you believe their idea is great. So is this stuff helping you guys a little bit? You know, so every day when I get up, that's why I call it a morning ritual. You know what I mean? RCH, you know, -UAL ritual is that if you win the morning, you win the day. And I just don't understand people that don't understand that. You know what I mean? It's like you wake up in the morning, like you guys know, I'm on my knees. I'm giving gratefulness and thanking. And then immediately I go into something that really inspires me. And when I'm in that mode, you know, I'm going to impact people. It's not that I'm trying to convince them or sell them. I'm getting them to feel something that they forgot they had within them. So being stuck, in my opinion, is just being uninspired. So when people feel stuck and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do, if you get inspired, you'll walk right through that wall. You can say everything wrong to the right people and the right people will say, wow, you're on fire. Who do you know that can help answer some of my questions? Because and I'll tell you where that is if you guys have ever watched Shark Tank, have you ever seen someone get so excited and they don't get funded or get a deal because they're so damn excited that they're not answering the questions that the sharks are asking them? I just seen this just recently. And the guy goes, Kevin goes, I'm not going to ask you for the third time. Tell me what total amount in US dollar figures that you've sold in the last 2 years. And they kept asking him the question, but he was so excited about the thing that he made and where they're going and how it's going to change the world that when they finally pushed him, that figure was 36,000. And so all of them said, man, you're excited on telling a story, but you're not good enough to give anyone money, get anyone to give you money. And that is including me. And for that reason, I'm out. So you can nail people with so much facts and so much hype and so much facts and so much hype, but you didn't emotionally impact them. So think about, how am I making this person feel? It's pretty different, Max, from when you and I knew years ago. Is like the number one thing we were telling people to find out what's in it for them. And like Max said, I'm evolving. And now I'm like, I need to find out how I can get this person to feel again. Does that make sense to you guys? So now if you really understand that with going through Deborah with the book, and then what I'm sharing with you now, that's why my side door approach, or whatever you want to call it, is why I'd rather reach out to Jim and get Jim to get passionate about what I'm doing, and that I have an opportunity to help other people that are currently struggling. And I need your help, brother. Who do you know right now needs to bring in extra money for their family during this COVID thing? So I need you to do me a huge favor. If I can send you a link, I'll send you a short video showing you how to create a free account. And once you go through that information, I know you're going to feel confident in referring me people that this company and its products can help. You guys see the difference? Because I'm asking him to help me. And I'm not asking him for money. I'm not asking him to buy products. I'm not asking him to do things. This is why I believe that people don't ever get the right people in their groups to make the income that I make. Because in that 9 years, I don't think Max would ever think that he would hear me say that I'm not interested in being a brand. I'm not interested in creating courses. I'm not interested in being a public speaker. I'm not interested in creating a website and a funnel. I'm not interested in creating an emails and doing email follow-up. All those things to me today were nothing but distractions based on my ego. And why did I choose to do them? Because I looked at other people that were doing it. So you can tell by the book, I did say the name Bill Gould a few times in that book. In fact, 75. Okay. When I met Eric Worre asked me, why did you give Bill so much ink? Why didn't you just say mentor? Why didn't you just say coach? Why did you have to use his name? And I said, because I truly believed that I would be nowhere without running into him. So I got to give him the credit that credit's due. When I met him, he also had a training company. And he made more money from his training company. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't believe this, but you can look it up. But Tony Robbins and the way that he puts all his different seminars together was an identical duplication of Bill Gould. So they both live in San Diego, and Tony Robbins seen that Bill Gould had a seminar for $300 called Basic Building Blocks. And one was $500 called Advanced Building Blocks. And then Journey Beyond Perception was $850. And then Leadership was $1,000. And then Beyond Perception, Journey Beyond Perception was $5,000. That whole thing, Tony Robbins stole from Bill Gould. Now, here's the problem with it. It never teaches you how to be independent. You're always missing just one more seminar. All that link that you're missing. That link that you're missing, if you only would come to one more, this one more advanced thing. So not to get off track, but if you guys seen that documentaries that's going around with NXIVM, you know, Bill was doing that before that guy even came on the market. But it was very, very cultish. And it was, you had to go to these seminars. So when I learned from him for 7 years, I thought that that was something that needed to be done to help people become successful. No, it's a totally independent way to make money. And the Brendon Burchards and the Grant Cardones and all these guys, I'm not saying there's anything negative. I'm just saying that if you really did your due diligence and found how many people have gone through their entire system and then where their life is today, you'd go, I'm not taking that class. Why? Because he set them up to consistently be independent on him. So now for Max to hear this after all these years, that, you know, I left the way that I know how to create money for people that are struggling. And I incorporated that training. And then when the company fell and went out of business, then I thought that I would step into that realm. And I did very, very well. I made over $3.5 million in 2 years doing that. And I hated every moment of it. So if you guys wondered why I stopped the inner circle that I was doing on Tuesdays, and then I stopped Escape Mastery, and why I stopped doing Saturdays, it was because there's nothing that unfulfills me more than watching the same 100, 200 people show up for every training and their life has changed absolutely zero. So we call those in network marketing churchgoers. So they show up because they love the feeling, but you sort of would say to them, thank you very much, Kai, for showing up at another Sunday service, another Wednesday service. Can I ask you a simple question? Sure. Why don't you bring anybody? If you're doing this correctly, the churches should be growing. If you're doing this, look at Jim. If you're doing this correctly, the seminars shouldn't be big. You couldn't fit them in a coliseum. But why do they all get up to this one place and then they stay there? It's because the people that are coming in, they finally don't get any results, so they leave. And the new group comes in and leaves. And I'll never forget this. One time I seen Jim Rowan speak, and he said, how many people in the room have seen me speak live before? And there was like 5% of the people that raised their hands. And Jim Rowan would always say, oh, I thought I was more popular than that. And he would make everyone laugh. You know what I mean? And I'm going like, wow. And people that understand this will say, the group that got you to a certain position is not the group that's going to get you to the next position. So then you run into people and they go, Robert, I just can't get my group excited. I can't get my group to do anything. I can't get my group to go out and do things. It's because you're teaching them the wrong things. Is this deep, you guys? So then I stripped all that away. Right now, if you go to roberthollis.com, you can't put your email into anything. I got rid of Confusionsoft. I got rid of, my Wistia servers. I got rid of everything. And the reason why is because if people see me doing that, I can tell you guys, listen, you don't have to build a brand. You don't have to have a website. You don't have to do weekly trainings. You don't have to do weekly presentations. And then all of you are going, yeah, but you're doing them. So you're telling me I don't have to do this stuff, but you're doing it. You see just the wrong story, the wrong thing that you're telling people. So now if you go to roberthollis.com, you click on training, it takes you to videos that I have on my 2 Facebook pages and a YouTube channel. Because I think that people can do a video, right, Deborah? Now that might be a big step for people, but how many of you know, and this video I know will go to millions of people, I'm just confessing it right now, is that, you don't have to be in a business opportunity either. If your heart's for a charity, to create a deal. I'll give you guys a neat example, and I'm bringing out stuff, Max, that you and I thought of that I haven't gotten to use for a while. Here's something funny I want you guys to get. I want you to think of a person, a successful person in any realm that you've always, always, always wanted to meet. You guys want to put something in a chat? Just some person that, oh my Lord, if I got a chance to meet somebody, this would be the person. If you want to unmute too, I guess you could unmute and just tell me. Julia? Sandra?
I would say
I don't see anyone posting.
Oprah. I think I know her story and she's amazing. So Oprah.
Okay, watch this. I not only can get you to meet Oprah, but I can get you to have a private conversation with her and even do a video with you, a short video with you. Would you like that? Watch how fast you can do it. What is the most important thing to Oprah?
Helping people.
Her angel network. A network, a foundation that goes out and builds schools for little girls. I need to find a way, Julia, and teach you how to be able to be one of the top contributors to the angel network. Did you catch that? And all of a sudden, a $5,000 is going to the angel network, and then another $5,000 goes to the angel network, and then another $10,000. You won't have to worry about how to meet her. There's someone from that foundation that's going to reach out to you. Thank you for the contribution. Ask you why you did it. And you would just say, I just love Oprah's story. It's always inspired me. I love what she does in the world. And they go, Julia, would you be interested in showing up at our Angel Network festivity that we do every year? Oh my God, I would be honored. And I guarantee you, when you walk in there, you're sitting at a special table. And you don't even know you're sitting at that special table. And when Oprah comes in the room, she's coming to that table. Instead of you knowing Oprah's name, Oprah knows Julia's name. Did that inspire you? And see, so people are like, oh my God, I'd always love to meet these people, find out what's good for them. So I don't remember which day it was, and I apologize, you guys. It was probably Thursday. But I was on a virtual happy hour. And this mixologist was teaching us how to make drinks. So I donated money, and they sent me this big box full of all kinds of liquor and mixtures and asked me to be on a happy hour to teach me and Terry how to make certain drinks, like a tequila sunrise and these other ones, right? And first of all, I looked at this box and I just went, man, I've never seen all these different tequilas, and they had, you know, some syrup, and they had all these neat things that you're going to make these drinks with. Then I get on this thing and I find out it's for water.org. Do you guys know one of the founders of water.org that just happened to send me a message? Matt Damon. I'm like, me and Terry are like, what? And then they go, oh, before we start this, we want to give some honors. You know, certain people that go above average, we call them world changers. And the person's holding up a trophy, and it said, recognition to Terry and Robert Hollis for their contribution. And I'm just like, that's not the reason I gave the money. Are you guys following me? That wasn't the reason that I gave the money. But 𝓀𝓏𝓸𝓸𝓵𝓮 Foundation picked them as the charity. And that's where our money was going for. So, you know, the next thing I know, I got a personal message thanking me from Matt Damon. And I'm talking to his business partner on a webinar because I'm being blessed more than I ever thought I would be. And I'm using a majority of that money to bless other people. Did that get you guys to dream a little more than, hey, I'd like to sell a bottle of CBD today? So in closing, I just want to tell every one of you is that just consistently get better at the thing that make the most difference, and just focus on getting better at that every day. Because if you look at the world, the thing that inspires us is, or what inspires me, is human beings doing something better than average. So if you guys, I love sports, but I don't watch a lot of sports. But the reason that I watch mixed martial arts or NASCAR is because it's sort of a team sport, but when it gets down to where the rubber meets the road, it's the individual driver. You see what I mean? It's the one individual that is hitting or missing or getting in a wreck or being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And like Deborah said, at the end of that race, you knew that Matt 𝓷𝓵𝓵 was going to win. I mean, would Brother Carr, they've won 99 races. This would be 100. He was in the lead. No one could get him. And he took off and he blocked the right side instead of the left. And Brad Keselowski got next to him and beat him to the winner's circle. You see, so when he talked to him afterwards, he's like, oh my God, I made the wrong mistake. I bet you don't do that next time. So unfortunately in life, we have to keep doing lap after lap after lap after lap after lap after lap, and just get our laps to be better than the one before. And we just got to master that mundane, that thing that we don't want to do. I want to be a master at telling a 30-second sentence to people that impacts their feeling on such a level that they immediately love and trust me, that they'll introduce me to someone that I can help. That's what I want to master. I don't want to master anything else. Because now that I'm in a different world where I'm raising money for charities and raising monies for investments, I'm in a different world. I'm thinking instead of making millions a year, I want to make tens and hundreds of millions a year. And I want to give 10 and hundreds of millions to charity. So I got to up my game. And I was telling my wife this, and I hope you guys don't take this wrong. But have you guys ever talked to somebody that you knew was above average successfully, and they sort of, you hear, yeah, but they're sort of a snob. They're sort of stuck up. They don't want to acknowledge me. I just believe that's a successful person protecting their time and energy. Because they can glance and look at someone and see the way they're looking and seeing the way they're acting. And they go, man, that person will suck every bit of energy out of me in a millisecond. And we don't understand where they are. So we just go, well, they're stuck up. They think they're better than us. No, they don't think it. They're just trying to be the best person they can that day. And you haven't worked on that. you see, it's like me now at this place where I am, where I'm 59 years old. Who knows how much, God's more time God's giving me. I'm being a little more selective in the people that I reach out to. It's like I just had a friend of mine, 𝓚𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵𝓵, that did that RTT session for me, right? And it's changed everything that I think, because I feel more enough. I feel stronger. I feel, more loved. I just more worthy. Every one of those things in the last 70 days. And I thought I was a person that had that pretty much under control, but there was still a lot of stuff that, that I just didn't feel the kind of person that would make 10 million a year. I didn't feel like the person that could make 100 million a year. I do now. So I got to up my game to give more money to charity, right? And so all of a sudden my mind got to this place where I was telling Terry that, 𝓚𝓮𝓸𝓹𝓵𝓵 had me reach out to a guy that was 36 years old. And he was thinking that I'd like to do an RTT, but I don't know how effective it would be over Zoom. And so she asked me if I would do a huge favor and just reach out to him. So I call this guy, his name is Ryan. And from the second that he answers the phone, I was going, this dude is in a bad place. You know, and he even sent me an email afterwards. He said, I Googled you and I see you do that network marketing scam crap. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, this dude had no clue who was reaching out to help him, and probably never will. So I was thinking about responding the 𝓀𝓨𝓵𝓵. Did you guys catch that? The 𝓀𝓨𝓵 would have taught him a lesson and tried to educate him. And I just felt, no, I'm not going to do anything. The next day he sent me a text and he goes, using the words I. You know, I have got to be one of the stupidest, worthless assholes on the planet. I think now that you reached out on the phone to personally talk to me, and that's how I replied to your text. I'm really, really sorry. You guys understand what I just said there? Because I could have told him how wrong he was. No, I didn't do anything, and I just prayed for him. And because of my love going back to him, regardless of what he thought or said about me, it got his heart. And I said, listen, if you don't think the Zoom will work for you, then you need to jump in your vehicle and drive to Phoenix, Arizona to get an RTT done from this person. Because if you don't change the way you feel and act, nothing in your life is going to change. And I'm just sharing with every one of you, you know, I work hard on myself, but there's still nothing that gives me more energy, more fulfillment, more love than helping another human being. So when Deborah says, hey, can you jump on here? And I'm like, yeah. I didn't ask Deborah who's going to be on there. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, it does. Because if I just got through to one of you, if I just got through one of you that are watching this recorded and something clicks for you, then I'm doing what God asked me to do. Learn, teach, learn, teach, learn, teach. Make sure that other people are impacted by the things that impact you. So Max, thanks again for encouraging me and getting me to write that, getting you to write that book. And Deborah, thank you so much. I love you and appreciate you so much for going through this course and putting everyone in touch with that and just letting them know that if I can do it, they can do it.
Thank you. Thank you. If I just can be half of learning to touch people like you do, it's there in all of our hearts, but learning to communicate that is like so important.
Yes.
To be able to share like you just shared. I mean, and I want all of you to that's on here tonight to please share this video, because I'm there with you, Robert. If it just touches one person, I don't care where in the world you are. I want this to get out everywhere, especially this final chapter, you know, this final one. I'm working on getting the other 11. I'll put it on my YouTube channel and I'll let you know when it, you know, it's nice to be, I've got a technical person trying to get out all my technical mistakes from the beginning.
No problem.
All right. So we will get,
you're done with that,
we will
Deborah,
get that out.
I'll promote it to the world.
And I'm going to put this one out there right away. Please, everybody, share it to everybody that you know. So much valuable, good information. This is what I've been talking about. This is the heart of the matter here. This is the man that turned my life around a year ago. It's only been a year in April that when like I've, you know, first heard of Robert and talk about giving somebody an imagination. My life has grown 180% at least this last year. And those of you on here can testify that it's been the biggest growth I've ever had. And I think you, Robert. Thank you, Max. Max is teaching me how to communicate and put and say the things that from my heart the right way also. So it's good to have, you know, those people. And I'm listening to Marissa every morning too. So Robert it's a chain reaction of leading you from one good person to another.
Absolutely.
Follow your mentor, follow who he follows. And you're stuck with me.
Yeah. No problem. No problem
All right.
whatsoever.
Everyone, thank you so much. I'll be sending those of you that have stayed here with me a gift. And so I love you. Good night.
I love you too. Good night.
Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Robert, thank you, Max. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Jim, Kai, Yvette, Lisa. I've seen Lisa here. God bless you guys. I love you.
Love you. Good night. Good night. Good night. I guess Max is still.